Hey y'all, Duro up here. Most of y'all know me for Tab G, one of my favorite games. But behind Tab G, I would say my favorite game of all time was EU4. I have 5,500 hours in EU4. I played it many hours. I bought all the DLC. I did everything, and that's not even counting the time I had pirated the game. This, on my first monitor, you'll see it, is a game I was very excited for. I thought EU5 would be an amazing game, and to an extent, it's pretty damn good. It's pretty hard to convince myself to go back to EU4. It's just not. It's not EU5. But as I play more and more through EU5, it becomes more and more apparent to me that it feels like something's really missing. You'll have seen the title of the video. You'll know where this is going, but I want to give you an idea. I look out at this map. What do I see? Well, I see a few nations actually that really stand out to me. I see this one here. Is that Bamberg or Würzburg? Mainz, Munster, Luxembourg. Okay, Lüneburg, Hesse. And why do I say this? I realize that past 1,000 hours, I really never played EU4 without mods. And so, as I wait for mods to come out for Hesse and for all these nations, I can see right up here exactly how much flavor this nation has. None. Okay, Luxembourg, you have that tiny bit right there. That tiny bit right there. If I scroll over that, we have that. Okay. What about you, Württemberg? Okay. And so what's my point here? We'll get to it. We'll get to it. First, I want to give you an idea. I've had EU4 open this whole time. You'll see my webcam just lag there. EU4's game doesn't like being tabbed in and out of. And so here's EU4. I open the main menu and I'm like, wow, holy shit. But somebody else see that. That's not vanilla. That's really not vanilla. What is that from? I realized that none of my hours playing this game were unmodded. And so a lot of my experience were clearly with mods. I did my own little value changing here and there, but what's to separate EU4 nations from nations? With Europa Expanded, it's a lot. It's a lot. Say I wanted to play the Palatinate. It is a vastly different experience from Mainz or Hesse or Thuringia, even Thuringia, Brunswick, Saxony. If I wanted to play fucking Rothenburg, big difference. Württemberg, all of these nations. I look at this map and I say, wow, there are many nations I could play. And so why do I say this? One of my core experiences in EU4, my favorite experience fucking ever, playing Munster. I was expanding, doing a lot, kind of growing in the region. And whenever I had gotten to about this size here, the Austrians, they declared war on me. Coked up Austrians, they did a shit ton of expanding, they got a disloyal Burgundy under their hand, and I think after my war, they had gotten the integration event. And I say that, well, why do I say that? It's because in EU4, you could really have an experience of fighting for your fucking life. You really could. In EU5, it's a lot harder to have that. I can hire mercenaries, but as they nerf regular troops more and more, it feels like if I were to go to war with a larger power, even if I had a giant treasury, I'm just dead. There's nothing I can do. I'm pretty dead. I can fight on mountains, I can do a lot of that, but I'm pretty dead. Here, I went into hyper debt as Munster. I went into fucking hyper debt and I fought for my fucking life and I won that war and took maybe 1 or 2 provinces. Was it worth it more for me? No. Was it worth it for the Austrians? Even less. But they could take that. I can't. But after that war, I have a truce, so I can go expand more and more, and I have something on my tail to tell me why. And why do I say this? Why would I play Munster? It's because I was playing with Europa Expanded. Of course, I always play with Iron Man, but I won't be able to explain this to you. If I don't, I have a problem with cheating in EU4, so I have to play with Iron Man so I don't open up the console. Anyways, I'm sick. I'm sorry about that. But I want to show you this. Whenever we finally get in, in base game, what is Munster? I really can't tell you. But in Europa Expanded, what is Moonster? It's a lot. Look at that mission tree right there. Okay, we have I think these are pretty base for German miners. We have Expand the City, Westphalian residents. Okay, so we have Westphalian things. What if we tag Palatinate? What do we get there? Okay, we have a Wittelsbach shit. Okay, 25 years. 10 national... Okay. 10% improved relations to the end of the game. That's a lot of flavor. What if I were to tag... Shit, what about... I think that's Landshut. Is that LNS? That's not LNS. God damn it. We'll go Württemberg. These two nations. So close together. They're both Swabian. What's to separate them? Look at that fucking mission tree. Let's see. You want me to prepare an army, then I'll go to war with Baden and West Swabia, declare war on Baden, declare war on myself. I guess I share this with multiple other nations. Okay. Declare war with Constance, declare war on the Worms, declare war on a lot of shit, and then we're going to recover from Swabia, unify Swabia, form Swabia, and then after we form Swabia, we'll get even more missions. And then we can use that and we can go form Prussia and get even more missions. And then we can go form Germany, and by then you've already won, so you stop playing the game. But what do I say this? Well, you might think then that Baden and Württemberg would be very, very, very similar nations. And to an extent, they are. But why are they not? Positioning. Positioning means a shit ton in EU4. Look at this positioning for Baden. We border someone we can't win. We border someone we can't win against. We border one, it's not, okay. 1 province miners. And then we border Württemberg. Here is Württemberg. We border Palatinate. And why can we not win against them? They'll likely ally a shit ton of people. Austria, they're the Holy Roman Empire. We probably can't fight them. We border Baden, and after we take out Baden, we can go to take out these guys. Okay. We border a free city. We border Ansbach. Okay. We border Ingolstadt. Might be a good place to expand. Ulm, that's a free city. Memmingen, that's a free city. Konstanz, that's a free city. So why does this matter? Well, the core of what I'm saying is that with these mods, Württemberg has a shit ton of new events, a shit ton of new... I don't think they have new ideas. Ideas mean a shit ton too. This is why, I guess as well, you know, Baden isn't quite like us. They seem to have very generic ideas, but those do have a difference, and we have not much. But say I were to play Hesse? Oh my god, imagine! Look at this. The ideas. More Diplo rap. And as we go through, 25 fucking % land force limit. Look at that. Holy shit, that's a lot. And I look at these things. They're very keyed towards us being diplomatic and trying to become... It looks like... Well, with so much diplomacy, you could go for holy marriages, you could go for a lot of things, you could probably even become the HRE. And where could you form? You could form yourself into Westphalia or Rhine. Rhine is an Europa expanded thing. And why do I say this? Well, it's the only reason in EU4 I would ever play Hesse over something like Saxony. Saxony has Thuringia under their rule. Saxony, I could play Saxony, I could play Brandenburg, I could play Austria, Bohemia, Liège. I mean, I could do a lot of shit. And I mean, well, no, without missions, without ideas, it's really just these. I don't see any reason I would ever play anything else. They just don't have anything fun behind them. But with Europa Expanded, every single nation here is viable. Tiny small point I'm realizing as the game gets louder and louder. Europa Universalis 4 had a lot of time. A lot of time. And a lot of music came out over that time. And I think some of my favorite ones were Knights of Swords. I fucking love this one. We have... Where is it? Blue Nile. Pharaohs of a new era. And why do I say this? These are deeply, how do you call it, immersing songs. You hear these and you get into the fucking mood of, oh my god, I'm playing the Teutons, I'm playing Egypt, I'm playing some miner over here who can barely fend for themselves and has to worry all the time about getting killed by the Mamluks. I'm playing the fucking Ottomans. I'm playing Italy. You really get into it. And with experiences like what I had, where you're fighting a fucking death war, even if it's AI, AI is not very good, but you're fighting a death war against the AI because you can win a death war against the AI. The AI won't go into massive debt like you will, unless it's Venice for some reason pulling out 1 million mercenaries for no fucking reason at all. And I say this because EU4 is a magical fucking experience. It's something you can really play for hours and hours and hours on end. Insanely fun. And I guess this gets me to my point. I guess it'll probably end up wrapping up very quickly. But again, I want to recap. You could play as really open up the culture map mode. You can get experience for each and every single different playstyle in here. We can go for the Wallonians. I don't know why we'd do that. We could play Belgium. We could play Netherlands. We play the Rhine. We could play Swabia. We could play Switzerland, Austria, the Bavarians, Franconians, Westphalians, Frisians. They're a peasant republic. We can play the Lower Saxons and the peasant republic up here. We can play the Pomeranians, the Prussians, the Saxons. We can even, for some reason, if you ever, for some reason, ever wanted to do it, you could play the Silesians. Don't know why you would. You could do it, though. And now we'll go to the other one we could play. Because I don't think I'd ever go back to EU4. Because it's just not really having enough flavor. We'll turn on country change. And so we look at EU5, and I look at this and I say, what's the difference between, let's say, Baden and Zweibrücken? I don't see any. I guess the ruler is a bit different. Okay. They're both counties. Okay. Okay, what about, maybe that's unfair. What if we go instead to look at, I guess, let's look at, the cultures are a bit different, so maybe they have some, they have one different thing. Trade capacity, or 5 max literacy for clergies. Wow. What's the difference between Brunswick and Lüneburg? Is there any? Bremen? We could. Oh, this is, that's Brema. I see. I did not know that. What's my point? There are no mission trees. There's really nothing here. We could play as the bishopric and as Munster, but they have nothing special about them. They don't have any mission trees. In EU5, it's really hard to punch up above your belt compared to EU4. We could play Brandenburg. Okay. We could play Bohemia. Okay. Poland. And you know what? That will get you a few hundred hours. There are campaigns in every single one of those. But they're all going to feel pretty similar. Of course, this is the HRE, so it's not going to feel exactly similar. If we were to instead look... That's another problem. I know that, you know, I guess the Golden Horde's a good example. When a nation this large is on the fucking map, it's really hard to try playing around it and just hoping they collapse. You know, as the Ming, it was pretty fucking easy. You could play as the Koreans, you could play as the Jurchens, and you still can. But your entire campaign revolves around this being here. And it's going to collapse. It's going to collapse into 1 million splinters. But it won't be balanced like EU4's was. It won't collapse into a massive Ming that will just take up the reins again. You won't have a big war. You'll just have to fight probably a few kingdoms here. When Golden Horde collapses, there's no big war. There's no massive fucking we're all dogging these fuckers. There's no we're collapsing into a whole great horde here. Crimean Horde. I guess the Crimean Horde of it exists. You were collapsing into a whole Nogai, a whole Uzbek. Not really. You'll sometimes see the Jokids pop up over here. Some Crimeans. No guy. Probably more Jokids over here. No guy. Or not no guy. Yeah, no guy and Uzbek. What's my point? I guess that playing these nations isn't fun and playing them around them is even less so. Like Delhi, you can play as Vijayanagara, and that was pretty fun, but it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same. And, you know, in Ming, in EU4, you only had to play the Ming and then realize, oh, that's what it feels like to play as the top player. Here, I think Great U1, from what I've seen, is incredibly incredibly hard to play. But not like in a fun way. Not like we're saving my nation from the brink of collapse. It's more, we're going to collapse. There's nothing we can do about it. Golden Horde, I think from what I've seen, it's just, you're just playing as the top player, and at some point you might hit a wall, but why would you do that? You could play as the Mamluks, but you're already a top player. There's no massive fucking Ottomans to worry about. You know, and in EU4, why do you expand as the Mamluks? It's so you don't die to the Ottomans. It's so you can go take on the Ottomans and have a fair game. And why do you play well as the Ottomans? Because everyone around you is pretty scary, but you're going to beat them at some point. Here, you can do that with the Ottomans, and it's pretty fun. The Mamluks, you're already on top. You could go take out the Ottomans right now if you wanted to. You could take out everyone. Why would I do that? That doesn't sound fun. And so back to the point, you know, what's really the difference between Brandenburg, Kingdom Poland, and Kingdom Bohemia? Not much. There's a bit of flavor. There are a few advances, but when you spread them out this much, you know, why did I like EU4 ideas? You could tell very quickly. I'm going to get these two off the bat. This one whenever I get my third idea, sixth, ninth, etc. Here, well, okay, at the start of the game, we're going to get some of that, okay? Wagenburg, okay. Wow. It's just not, it's not as exciting. And so I'm excited for, you know, in EU5, whenever mission trees come out, whenever it becomes the thing that Brandenburg isn't just the nation that I would play. I was playing Saxony, and you're not going to believe it. It's kind of hard to tell. But oh, am I looking at the... Oh, I was looking at Saxony. It's kind of hard to tell. But it's way easier to play as Saxony here, because they have a lot of flavor. You wouldn't actually tell. This is one of the few nations where you look at this and you're like, wow, that would be a fun nation to play. Because it's a very fun nation to play. But again, that's one campaign. Okay. 2, 3, 4. I really wouldn't play Bohemia. They're already on top until they nerf the shit out of Bohemia. Austria. Okay, you could play that. What was it in EU4? If Luxembourg was on the map with Europa expanded, at least, that's a nation you could play. Brabant, Holland, Frisia, Utrecht. Literally every nation here. You'd be able to play it. Not quite so much now with this map, but you could play them. But here, what's the difference between Verona and Milan? Or Verona and Milan? Mantua and Ferrara? In EU4, I mean, Mantua was, I think these were the cavalry nation. They were the cavalry minor. Ferrara was the artillery one. And so what's the difference between them? It was fucking massive. It was fucking giant. Genoa? They were the Trader Republic. Venice was the same, but like in a much more advantageous position. Milan, you could play it. You could play as Florence. You could play as Siena. You could play as fucking anyone, and you'd have a vastly different experience. It'd be insanely different. And you'd have these kind of like road bumps along the way. And the missions, you know what they do? Say you were playing Milan or Mantua. We're going to take over this. You'll get CBs for that. You're going to take over all of this. And after you're done with that, you know what? You'll get a choice. You can go up here. You can go up here. You can go up over here. You can even go over here. And you know what? Whenever you take over Florence, you'll get a CB on Rome. And whenever you take over Liguria, you can get a CB on Milan. When you take over a over the Po Valley, you know what? You'll get a CB on all of this. It'll guide your expansion. You don't have to wait for my fucking spy network to reach... Oh, wait, no, that's not in vanilla. You have to wait 5 years for a parliament. And then you're gonna declare war on one minor. It's incredibly fucking boring. There's no difference. I could play as any of these people. But here? No, that's not a thing. You can't do that. What was the difference between... it's a Europa expanded only thing. Because in vanilla they were not released, but I don't think they had any real flavor. But you could play Sicily in EU4. You know what? You can here too, but why? Why would you do that instead of Naples? I mean, you could. If you wanted the challenge, you definitely could, but why? It's not like here you can punch above your belt very easily. With Naples, you're just in a better position, but you play Naples and then you realize, wait, I have 30,000 troops? That's more than Hungary. That's more than France. Okay, not quite Castile. Why would I play Naples when I'm already ahead of this many people? Now, are you actually ahead of France? No, you're not. No, you're fucking not. What's my point, though? Look at this massive kingdom right here. It lives constantly in fear of Naples. Well, okay. That don't matter much. But you can't really punch Naples. You can try allying someone. They might help you. Maybe. But allying in EU5 is so much different from EU4 because you're not able to just get allies. It's a whole fucking process. They don't typically accept. I mean, you could play Naples, but why would you? With 30,000 troops, what would your game be other than just attack north? What would you do as France besides take over your land, get a few vassals, go take over this, probably vassalize them, go take over that, vassalize them. You know, in EU4, you attack the Holy Roman Empire. What do you get? Well, even if the Emperor switched to someone who is weak as shit, it pulls in every single one of their allies, including the allies of the person you attacked. So say I attacked, Lorraine. What would I get? I'd get Lorraine, probably have to fight the Palatinate, probably have to fight some Swabian minor, maybe someone up here, and then I'd have to fight Austria. And they're allied to what? Mainz, probably Mainz. We'd see the Palatinate. We'd probably see Bavarian minor. In my AI, this is. You'd fight that. And maybe Bohemia or Hungary or anyone else. Say fucking Poland they're allied to. Castile. You don't attack it. You don't attack it. Here is France. What do you attack if you attack the HRE? Okay, we take Luxembourg. We sit on that for a while. You know, Bohemia will be at war with us and they'll actually come attack us. But we'll sit on it. And we'll win. Okay. Then we'll probably attack Brabant. And we'll sit on it. Think about our actions. We'll win. We'll take them. We'll just change one advisor to do diplomatic reputation. We'll probably have a lot less AE for that. We'll attack Holland. We'll do the same thing. Just over and over. We're going to do the same exact fucking thing. In EU4, you could... I mean, what was stopping your expansion? Okay, first here, it was the allies of Brabant and the allies of Austria. That's a pretty big blocker. After we do that, though, we take over a bit of land. What's the problem? Aggressive expansion. If I took over too much, I'm getting a good half of Germany in my coalition. And you know what? In EU5, it might not be a problem, but in EU4, they had a base income. They had a base force limit. What's that mean? Every single one of these nations had at least 3,000 troops. You have maybe 40. And what's the issue with that? You're getting swarmed by hundreds of thousands of German troops. There's nothing you can do about that. So, you don't take that much. But let's say you could take that much. Let's say you were so large that a coalition wouldn't do anything to you. What's the issue then? We started taking over a fuck ton here. Just an insane amount. What's our new issue? We can't core that. We could release some vassals, but they'll get pretty disloyal pretty quickly as we take over more and more. Overextension is a massive fucking issue in EU5. You can take over this much, but can you actually hold on to it? Let me tell you another core experience for me. I was playing, I think, Mali. Very heavily modded, and I was going to war with fucking everyone. I took over all of West Africa quick as hell. And what did I feel? Every 10 or so years, probably about 15, I felt my entire nation crack at the fucking seams. 1 year after my massive conquest, what did I have? Everyone in conquered territories revolting. Just revolting against everything. And on top of that, everyone in my actual territory revolting. Every single person. Hundreds of thousands of rebels would rise up. And then I'd take over more. And you know what? That nation, those nations would immediately revolt. Hundreds of thousands of troops. And in another 15 years, hundreds of thousands of rebels will immediately rise up. And after that, more. Yet more rebels. And does that exist in EU5? No. No, it doesn't. And say I wanted to release all these people as a vassal, what can I do? Well, they might be more powerful than me, but shit. We'll go decentralized. Maybe be more conciliatory. Maybe have one advisor to do this. Then we'll improve relations. We'll just turn our slider up to the max and we really don't have to worry about it. That's not a fun way to play the game. That's not fun. Anyway. You get it. Things just felt like they had a lot more meaning in EU4. They really did. And things felt a lot more... I enjoyed this thing I'd heard from someone. That although EU5 was built up to be this massive sandbox, no railroading, I prefer a bit more, box with my sand. I don't want to have to, just think about, I'm going to take this guy out, then we're going to 5 year by 5 year period take out everyone here. Unless they're allied, in which case we won't, we'll take over a bit more at a time. That's just boring. I want reason to do something. I don't know. There were a lot of things. I think one of my favorite mods that I have installed is, if you could make it in vanilla, 30 spy network, build a generic casus belli, and maybe it has 100% conquest cost, 100% subjugation cost, maybe even higher. So I can go to war. Even if it's not an effective war. Even if it leaves something behind. Just go to war. Go enjoy that. Because with this, it's just sitting simulator. And you can do that, but it's not fun. In EU4, it was really something. What did Mali have in EU4? The whole collapse of their nation. Kind of at hand. And so what's the difference between Mali and Songhai? In here, probably quite a bit of flavor. Okay, quite, it's probably... Yeah, quite probably isn't the right word. A small bit of flavor, it looks like. A small bit of flavor. Also, one is ruling the other. In EU4, what was it? Well, Mali owns a shit ton of land, but they're about to collapse. And so you play Songhai, you expand your position, and then you take out the rotting empire of the Mali. And then you take out really most of West Africa. And you know who you have to worry about next? The Europeans. The North Africans. And you might have balled out here, but can you ball out against European regiments? Probably not. Here, though, you expand everywhere. Can you really fight European regiments very well? No, but you also have, fucking everyone, so you probably can. If I were to play in America. Fucking America. What is my experience? Rotting. Lots of rotting. I mean, in EU4, you really felt something. Aggressive expansion here was pretty bad. Here, I don't know, it's a bit bad, but you can vassalize everyone, then sit and wait, annex some people and vassalize everyone again. Sit and wait as your diplomatic capacity goes up. Vassalize, annex, it's very slow. And after a while, you'll win. You'll get everything here. I think my first campaign here was pretty bugged, so there were a lot of things. Then what do? You colonize a bit. You sit here and you wait for 100 years. And then what happens? Well, the Europeans will land. everyone in your nation will immediately fucking die. What does that mean? You're gonna be really weak. You really don't feel much of it. You don't start like losing locations or anything. Your locations don't start massively rebelling against you. They all die. And then the Europeans will land. You'll lose a war. Probably 3. In EU4, you'll lose that war. You will lose that war, but then you'll immediately embrace institutions because they own core land next to you. And you'll be very strong. You'll be able to win the next war. But in EU4, it's really not a fun experience either. Here, though, it's just sit and wait to die. That's not fun. I mean, you can, like, ball out here, but why would I? In EU4, I could play Japan. Every single fucking clan here would have its own flavor, and it'd be pretty fucking fun. Here, we can play buildings. And you can play the buildings, but I played a near vanilla experience with this, and no, I think I played an exactly vanilla experience with this. I did. And you know what? It was boring as shit. It's not fun. It's not a fun experience. I played over here. Okay. Well, I played Pahang. I took over all this land. I let Majapahit tributary me. And I got really strong. But then I realized, wait, Majapahit's a world power. They don't fall. They don't, like, actually fall down. And so I realized that I'm losing, like, 10%, 20% of my income just to every month because I'm a tributary. There's no real way I can win against Majapahit. It wasn't fun. It's not a fun thing to see. It's not a fun thing to play at. In EU4, it was different. That's the main point of this video. In EU4, it really felt different. But it was nice talking to y'all. It was nice chatting with y'all. I hope y'all understand a little bit more. The rant went on for 30 minutes, but until then, see y'all.